Hello, everyone, and welcome to another GospelX and an exciting episode, most thought-provoking episode ever.
The Red Dawn.
The Red Dawn, and what is it? Season 2, episode...
I think it was like
3, 4?
4.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You guys can look it up. Quickly Google it. So what we're going to do right now is, before we continue to show you the clip...
We must resist! Help must be on the way! There will be no help. You can't come in here! This parliament is officially dissolved. Ah! Your country no longer exists, so it has no need for leaders.
Stop! We were instructed only to exile the parliament.
Instructed? The people instruct me. In this chaos of disunion, the people are frightened. They demand a return to the iron hand of a true ruler. My iron hand.
All right, welcome back. So, Henry, you gotta help me here.
All right.
We're gonna start.
Okay, so, like, not very many times that we can say that a cartoon is, like, super 90s, but this is, like, really, really 90s, right? Because who remembers the Soviet Union? Who remembers, like...
The breakup of
the Soviet Union, right? So, in this episode, Omega Red gets revived after like 20 years on ice because...
Well, you know your history.
Well, that was in the episode.
That was in the episode?
Okay? So, the Soviet generals or Soviet who want to bring back the glory of the Soviet Union, bring him back to kind of be their weapon to bring back the Soviet Union.
Right.
One particular quote that Omega Red says is that the people are afraid and that they desire a strong hand to lead them again. His hand.
Yeah, well,
his hand.
Yeah, and he's self-anointed and appointed that that hand is his.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, basically the episode is talking about people choosing a leader because they're afraid politically. Right. They want to be led by someone who gives them safety, who gives them comfort, who gives them basically stability.
And clarity. Sureness.
And how does that affect their decision? Is that the right decision?
Well, it's interesting because like you're more politically in tune right now. Do you see that right now happening in this world? That you see that people, that many countries are leaning towards charismatic leaders that tend, how are they labeled? Populist leaders? Do you see that?
Well, there's that term, right? Sheeple.
Yeah.
Where if people feel like there's a person who represents their idea,
right,
and they can get into power, then that's a good thing, regardless of any other traits or qualities that they have. Omega Red in this episode is a tyrant who cares little about the people around him.
Which we already know that there's a few down in this Latin America that they elected that were tyrants, right? And we know that some in Europe have elected some tyrants as well. So why? So the question is, when we were preparing for this episode, the question though then comes up: is it a human thing? Is it something that we just naturally are inclined to follow charismatic alpha type leaders, or is it, in a Christian sense, is it impressed in us by God?
Yeah, that's the question. Is that in Christianity, did God create us to be led?
Like to have that desire.
To have that desire.
To have an overlord. A desire to have an overlord to rule over us. Well, that's a good question because, so many times that when we read the Bible, we are called sheep. And we are called to follow Jesus, follow God. And so you wonder, is it something that is naturally impressed in us? And I think we were born to have a desire to follow something. I think it doesn't matter whether it be a person, and it doesn't matter if it be an ideology or even a consumer good. But, we want to follow something. We want to look up to something, right? So hence we all humans are prone and susceptible and inclined to follow either a leader, an ideology, something that they could look up to. And unfortunately, this happens, right? Where people like sometimes follow the wrong things, and which leads to a wrong path and influence their decision. What do you think?
I think that's true. I mean, what we believe is that you're either following God or you're following something else, right? So
it's interesting because it's not imposed on us that
it's something we choose.
It's something we choose
to follow.
Yeah. So it's like desire is a choice, not some passive, oh, I can't help myself, but I'll just follow that person, right? It's more about we make that choice, but yet we have that desire. Now, are we susceptible to fall into that desire to follow something else or follow God, right? Unfortunately, many times, I think you and I both see it all the time, too common, we follow the wrong thing. And then we fall into the trap of getting ourselves into trouble or getting other people or hurt other people in the process. Yeah. So just like, and then not all of us have a Colossus and the X-Men to save the day for us either.
So I guess the moral story, be careful what you choose to follow.
Yeah, and also we just have to admit ourselves that we do not really necessarily have that. We do not always know what's really right for us, and we do not necessarily know what whether that choice that we make is completely right and true. We have to step back, sometimes take our time and reflect, and also to evaluate. And for Christians out there, to also just pray over this and seek counsel before we follow something, because we never know what's over the horizon.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you again for joining us. Brought to you by Old Whiskey Rye. Hey, it's only when you drink this that all this can be digested. Just kidding. So have a good week. Until next time, have a blessed week.